I mentioned being single for 14 years before I met my wife. And the man, y'all, look, if you're out there and you're single, because something I do regret is the amount of time that I spent being sad about being lonely. I do regret that. That is one of the regrets that I have in my life, because 14 years is so long, right? And if you're out there, if there's anything that I learned from that time period, like, first of all, let me say this. If and when you do find a relationship, if you've been single for a long time, you got to remember that relationships are hard. I know it you feel like, and look, I get it, because I was single for 14 years. I know that feels like trite, and it's like, oh, my life would be better if I had a relationship. And look, in a lot of ways, it is going to be better. But you got to remember, this is a whole nother human being with a whole different experience of life that you're going to have to learn to intermesh with. And let me tell you this, there's a possibility that it could be harder for that intertwining to happen because you've been single for so long. So relationships take a lot of work, and they can be super hard sometimes. But of course, it's still worth it. And this is what I would say. One of the things that I realized, and it's ironic because I realized it just before I met my wife, is like, yeah, being single was hard, but living is hard, right? And so I remember thinking to myself, like, okay, like, life is just challenging no matter what. So what should I do? I'm single. What should I do? Well, I should just go be me, right? Like, if you're out there and you're single, I promise you, every time you get sad about being lonely, you go pick up a book and start reading about a topic that you're interested in, or read a story you've always wanted to read, or you put on a podcast that has some kind of encouraging content for you and some helps you transform in a positive way in some part of your life, or you go on a walk, or you go exercise, or you go cook yourself a healthy meal. If you start using that feeling of loneliness as a trigger for your own personal development, I promise you, you are not going to look at your time as a single person. You're not going to look back on it and be like, man, I regret having spent all that time by myself, or I'm so sad that I spent all those years by myself. Like, I regret the amount of time that I wasted being sad. And today we can just doom scroll, or we can go look at the social media profiles of people that maybe we dated in times past and it didn't work out. Like, I promise you, you are not going to be mad about the fact that instead of ruminating on the fact that you're single and doing all the things that we do to ruminate on stuff, like scrolling on the phone or watching movies that are kind of make us feel melancholy, but they remind us of the one that got away, or whatever the case may be. Instead of doing those things, if you say to yourself, like, okay, I'm feeling that sadness come on, I'm going to go read this book on, like, for me, it would be, I'm going to go read this book on exercise physiology. I'm going to go read this book on philosophy. I'm going to go learn about psychology. I'm going to go do a mobility routine at the local park and get some sun. I'm going to go for a walk, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously no one's going to be perfect, but I think about if I'd have done those things instead of be sad, if I could have done those things, like, let's say 90% of the time, instead of stewing in my sadness, like, man, where would I be with my fitness right now? Where would I be with martial arts right now? I didn't realize until late in my journey of singlehood that, like, oh, the answer to me being single is to just be me and just let life happen, because I can't control when somebody wants me. All I can control is me, right? So it's a waste of time, and I get it. And I think maybe to some extent, maybe it's something that single people just have to go through, going through that trough of sadness and emotions, because I've certainly been there. But look, man, you aren't going to be mad that you decided to, like, pull yourself together and build yourself. And by developing that habit of self-improvement, because that's what this podcast is all about, like, you'll carry that into a relationship, because it's easy to get complacent in a relationship. Yes, I've seen people do it all the time. Fortunately, I developed this habit of self-improvement, but it's easy to get into a relationship and just be stagnant and just get stale and just sit still and not grow in any kind of way. Also, when you're being you, like, you're likely to be more attractive. And I'm not going to say that just because you start working on you, that then the relationship will present itself. Like, because I don't believe in all that magical woo woo stuff. But like, you're going to be happier. You're just going to be a happier person. And that will make you more attractive. Does it guarantee your relationship? No. But you're not going to be mad that you decided to work on yourself as opposed to stewing on the fact that you were single.